Welcome once again to Dive Lectures, and this is our 11th one. This is all in aid of the Scuba Trust, okay? Anybody here with a gold medal at the Olympics? Here he is. Come on, Danny.
Danny Crates, Paralympic gold medalist.
I'm sorry, I haven't led any great expeditions. I've spent 12 years running round and round in circles on a red track. I'll concentrate a bit on my life, which I feel is quite important, and that's from the age of 21, where I was involved in a car crash, and then how I really put my life back together, how diving played a key part in that, and then how I went on to represent Great Britain.
I learned to scuba dive on the Great Barrier Reef when I was in Australia at the age of 20 and 21. And I spent many years specialising in teaching divers with disabilities to scuba dive, hence my relationship with the Scuba Trust. And that taught me a lot about being an instructor.
Now, I believe you can do anything you put your mind to in life, but sometimes you've got to be a little bit realistic as well. And the chances for a guy with one arm running out against the All Blacks would be pretty remote. Although, if any of you have followed England over the past few years, I saw an advert, it was in a national newspaper at the time, and it said, window cleaner required, must be a qualified scuba diving instructor. And I figured, hey. I should have read the small print. It said, must not be scared of sharks. Now, this job was, at the time was at the Great Yarmouth Sea Life Centre, and I went along for my interview, and they said, Danny, here's the thing. 4 times a day, we're going to fill the auditorium with 200 people, and the staff are going to do a presentation. And they're going to explain to the general public that sharks are not these big perceived man-eaters. I'm not 100% convinced that if you saw a guy in a shark tank with one arm, I'm not sure we got the right message across.
I was a Paralympic athlete for 12 years, represented Great Britain at 3 Paralympic Games, and the main one for me would have been Athens 2004.
2 months before the Games in Athens, I actually broke the world record for the men's 8. And I dreamt for 7 years what it would feel like as an athlete to come off the final bend and realise I had the potential to achieve my dreams. I was finally crowned the Paralympic champion over 800 metres. And 7 years after I started on my journey, I finally realised my dream. But I'll be at London somewhere, somehow. Even if I have to set up a little hot dog stand out the front, I'm going to London. The London Dive Chamber has supported the Scuba Trust for more than 5 years now by allowing all the proceeds from tonight to go to the Trust. It will enable them to go on and keep doing the fantastic work they're doing. They put hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of people through their diving qualifications now. So thanks for your time and thank you for listening. Good evening.
Our next speaker is he's a marine biologist, he's an author, and he's been described as the Bill Bryson of the deep. So without further ado, Professor Trevor Norton.
I'm Trevor Norton. I was a professor of marine biology at the University of Liverpool for many years, and now I'm a sort of geriatric marine biologist who writes books. So my story is about the history of diving. This is by a man called Bex, and if I was married to Posh Spice, those are the pajamas I would wear as well. For the sporty man who's going in the shallows, you need something like this. You can see why men dive, can't you? The gear makes us look so sexy. Anyone who knows about the Haldanes would have a soft spot. And they are the most extraordinarily talented, most eccentric, and, I don't know, interesting family you could possibly imagine. This is John Scott Haldane. It's the first time I've ever seen a moustache wearing a man. He did lots of experiments on volunteers and himself, and he did experiments like breathing carbon monoxide. Now, in those days, everyone had a chamber pot under their bed. He went one better, and he had a bloody great chamber in the attic. His safety valve was his daughter, Naomi. He'd said, right, if Daddy gets giddy or falls over, you pull this lever, you push that, turn that wheel to flush it out, and then you pull open the iron door. She was 12. He had a son, Jack. Here he is in the Black Watch during the First World War. He found the war a very enjoyable experience. He was at the front the whole time. April 1915, he was under continual bombardment, among the happiest months I've ever had. He was the most feared man in his regiment, not by the enemy, by his own men. And would you believe they made him an instructor in grenades? To improve their confidence, he got them to attach a detonator to a fuse with their teeth. He admitted that if there was a mistake, the mouth would be considerably enlarged. And he took this bravado into peacetime. He got into a pressure pot, a chamber, and the change in pressure was often something like a plane diving vertically at twice the speed of sound. If you got the bends, you got the day off.
When I heard that Monty was doing Great Escape, I thought, oh my God, what's he let himself in for? He's going to be tunnelling from a POW camp. To dispel all those myths, Monty Hall's Great Escape.
Thank you, Jules. My name's Monty Halls, and I'm a dive journalist and TV presenter.
I wasn't particularly escaping anything. I'm a slightly sort of posh, middle-class chap called Monty. I didn't really have anything to escape. It's something I just always wanted to do.
I think you can't beat getting out in front of a group of divers and, you know, telling a few tall tales, and also the diving community being what it is, it's relatively small, isn't it? You know, it's just like a big sort of reunion for me, really.
I put my hands over the side of the boat and just snapped the camera. And that was the shot. And you get a fantastic reaction from any diver if you sneak up behind him and just grab his nose. Tremendous. I thought we'd try and do something a bit different for the second series of Great Escape. So I thought we'd look at the Outer Hebrides, and in particular the Western Isles, which are the southern isles of the Outer Hebrides there. Obviously you're governed by the weather there. So we use some very advanced forecasting techniques to since our local.
The Royal Geographical Society is, it's a revered location. If you think of the people who've stood on that stage, and if you think of the history of these walls and the expeditions that have been planned here, the RGS, I mean, to be asked to speak at the RGS, I think it's a huge honour, it's a huge kind of privilege.
Utterly breathtaking. This is, what we're talking about here is a double World Heritage Site, one of only 24 on Earth. And it's the only British one, the only British double Heritage Site. And the stacks there, which are Stack Lee and Stack Armin, are the two biggest stacks, sea stacks in Britain. It's as tall as the Empire State Building, and there's 60,000 gannets nested on it. And phenomenal diving there, of course. You all know about the diving along areas like the west coast of Scotland. We have 7,000 species dependent on the sea. You know, so we're talking plants, animals, birds. They are all there. 21 species of whale and dolphin along this stretch of coastline. It's a really, really special place. Giants as well, 35 feet long, 7-ton basking sharks, same as 4 African elephants. You know, we're talking about a pretty serious animal there.
It's an annual gathering at an iconic venue to hear some of the best speakers in diving talking about a really varied range of subjects for the best possible cause. Why wouldn't you want to come to something like that?
That concludes this evening. I want to say thank you very much indeed to our speakers, and see you all again next year. Good night.
The best ones we've seen so far. I've been about 3 or 4 of them, and this was the best one.
Trevor, he was very, very funny, very amusing. Wasn't sure if it was a comedy act or about diving, but it worked.
I can't wait for the next one. Next year, same time, same place. Brilliant.